That funky slide guitar music that finally went on. All sorts of technical problems. I don't know if it's a fire or what that's got us all decombobulated around here. It's only about 3 or 4 miles from where we're broadcasting, and they've been giving me alerts on all my services. Oh, yeah, we might be out, delayed, X, Y, and Z, so maybe that's given us a problem, but we finally made it on. Hopefully we'll stay for more of today's show, or the rest of today's show, where we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET here in a few minutes. Of course, the fraud investigations are going rampant on that. Bill Lassalle's come out with his. Gavin Newsom just came out with this whole rigmarole trying to deny that there's any fraud going on in California and spreading $20 million amongst his buddies to try to get this, to get the fraud he already knew was there. I'm going to say $116 billion, 1/3 of the $349 billion budget. By far, is part of Gavin Newsom's empire of fraud. Here's Chris Rufo in an interview on Fox Business talking about this. Here we go.
Manhattan Institute senior fellow Chris Rufo has been investigating widespread fraud in California. In a new report, he found that fraud losses during the Newsom administration totaled at least $180 billion. California Governor Newsom responded to that report, saying it relies on, quote, guesses. Newsom says California has been a leader on combating fraud. Chris Rufo joins us now. Chris, what's your response to Newsom's response?
Yeah, well, Gavin Newsom is definitely becoming associated with the word fraud, but it's not for fighting it, it's for enabling it. And look, even under the most conservative estimates, experts from Harvard, from the Department of Health and Human Services, from LexisNexis Fraud Division have told us that the fraud in California is unprecedented. It represents the largest financial crime in American history. And scammers have been stealing billions of dollars per year. Some estimates say as high as $50 or $60 billion a year from the state of California, from federal taxpayers who actually send money to the state. And so, look, this reputation is catching up with the governor. He's going to try to run away from it, but the facts are not on his side.
So what's the most egregious example of fraud that you found?
Sure. Well, really, Medi-Cal is the 100-pound fraud within the system. And HHS officials told me that they estimate that the state of California is now losing up to $50 billion a year to fraud. And what I've noticed in the reporting is that it seems like every criminal enterprise from around the world has looked at California as a vulnerability. They're seizing. In our reporting, we show that neo-Nazi prison gangs, Romanian fraud scammers, death row inmates, and foreign fraud gangs have all been ripping off the state of California to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're just looking at the tip of the iceberg.
You know, the buck stops with the governor, clearly, but how many people are dropping the ball on this? Because if it's that easy to steal money, there's got to be a lot of failures along the chain.
Yeah, well, what's happened is that essentially California is operating many of its public programs, in essence, on the honor system. There's very little oversight. During the pandemic, when California was distributing tens of billions of dollars in unemployment insurance, there were only 2 state employees in charge of guarding against fraud for the entire system. And even worse, some of those employees that were in charge of guarding various programs were committing fraud themselves.
Right.
We've seen this through criminal indictments, and it goes all the way to the top. It's outrageous.
And that's a good place to leave it. Outrageous indeed. Chris Rufo, thank you so much.
It's way beyond outrageous. People, not outrageous. People should be in jail for the rest of their freaking lives about this. The controller, the governor, the Attorney General of California, tons of local officials. Give me this crap of, it's total BS. 1,000% BS of what they're trying to roll on us. Yet we allow this each and every, it seems like, freaking day. We're going to get into the gas prices with the latest Julie Watts report. And
Got 1 minute, Roy.
more of that. We'll update you on the fires that are about 3 or 4 miles from here that got us. Oh, things started late. Just be aware, everything's been running extremely slow in the fires by, and they've been giving me alerts. So be ready to have a replay going if I suddenly go dark.
All right.
That's just a friendly reminder. I barely got this thing on about 5 minutes ago out here, so it's been one of those fun days. Let me put it that way. I'm sure you've never had any of those
Oh, no.
ever. Everything runs like clockwork at the studio.
30 seconds. Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh man, it's always a challenging day. And everything was working good. I mean, I was testing it during the day of that, but comes showtime and everything starts going.
Here we go, Roy. 10 seconds.
Around.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the former Intraday AM band. Join our vast video audience in the UFB network. YouTube, check us out. Type in IE Newswire, Roy Blecker. You'll see my nice smiling, shining face. Wow, what a day. Moreno Valley's essentially burning to the ground. Now, it's about, I guess it's up to about 2,000 acres. It's about 3 miles east of where we're broadcasting from, and the net and all that stuff seem to be working pretty good. While about 11 o'clock or so it kicked off, and it seemed like that come showtime here, 5 o'clock, and everything's just running like a snail, not coming on. But we got her in time to get on KMET2. We just got in about 7 minutes before on the net, so. We started off with the fraud, the Chris Rufo. He wrote the article he was on with Fox Business on this Fraud Friday, which seems to be breaking out. Like he said, this is something that we should be upset about. Upset? Heck. People need to go to freaking jail. Not just the criminals, the politicians that have enabled this stuff. We had the Legislative Analyst's Office from the state of California telling Gavin Newsom specifically about the hospice fraud. And what does the clown do? What does Gavin Newsom do? He sits there like a bump on a freaking log. And one of the guys that must not have been paying off well enough, they bust a couple of them and say, we eliminated the fraud. Rob Bonner, the controller, and all that. Yeah, well, we found $2 million worth of fraud. Big deal. Breaking today in the California Globe by Megan Barth. Let's blow her up so you can see her good. Newsom, Gavin Newsom, blows $20 million on insider consultants to cut waste. California's exposure to fraud, waste, and improper payments totals roughly $435 billion over recent years. Boston Consulting Group might deliver $810 million in savings. Maybe 20%. In yet another master class in Sacramento-style reform, Governor Gavin Newsom has handed up to $20 million to Boston Consulting Group, the same elite firm that now employs his former cabinet secretary and Department of Finance Director Anna J. Matasantos to play detective on government bloat. This is the same Gavin Newsom who loves to brag that California was cutting waste and improving efficiency long before Elon Musk. If that were the case, the number of government agencies flagged as high risk by the state auditor wouldn't have doubled under his tenure. The target, not the entire sprawling state bureaucracy, not the fraud epidemic, documented across California's major programs, not the 8 state agencies flagged as high risk, just 3 giant agencies, the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, Social Services, and Healthcare Services. The bold promise, $2 billion in savings by fiscal year 28-29. The embarrassing reality, just $810 million projected now. We haven't even got that projected. Less than half the target. This is getting flat, flipping, out of control, ridiculous. Peeps, let's get our ass together. Do not vote for the same complete, moronic, idiot thieves that have been grinding you into the ground financially, stealing money out of your pocket and giving it to someone else so they could ride around in luxury yachts and boats and $15,000 purses. Who do you think the dude that was stealing $10,000 purses was selling them to? Not you and me, I can guarantee you that. Go look at your neighbor. It wasn't him that was buying them. Quoting further from the article, even Democratic Assemblyman Nick Schultz admitted the bad optics. Bad optics? We're getting fleeced by the tens of hundreds of billions of dollars per frickin' year. And we pay what? Wonder how many times Anna was under the desk over at the governor's office for $20 million. Jeez. We're getting... We know. Unemployment insurance fraud was at least 30, if not $55 billion. Medi-Cal, 95 to 145 billion. Homeless programs, and this has got to be a typo. It's probably 4 times this, 25 to 37 billion. 20 to 25 billion in CalFresh food stamps. Capital projects, Ashley Zavala's been on the whole new building. We built the Goofballs brand new building They've only occupied 3 years. Now they're building another. That wasn't Taj Mahal enough. Oh, we can't live like that. This stuff is absolutely beyond incredible. California Post's latest headline: under Gavin Newsom's watch, fraud saturates California. But that's the understatement of the year. Haywood Tanclove posted on the X machine, at one point California had more people applying for unemployment than there were adults in the entire state. $32 to $55 billion gone. Prisoners collected, dead people collected. I warned them, I begged them not to let the money go out like that. They suspended every rule anyway. Gavin Newsom, because the news reports of the people that legitimately deserved it were sitting on the phone 8 hours a day during the COVID con. This a-hole was instrumental in perpetuating. So just to prove them all, I don't want the bad press. Approve everything. That means he stole money out of you and gave it to someone else. Marla Davis, California also went from running a $1 billion surplus to $26 billion deficit over the last decade, while California GDP grew by 50%, and the budget grew by 50%, more than 50%. Really, the budget grew almost 120%. They're outflanking us at every turn. Look at the Medi-Cal growth nationwide in the last 25 years. 150% nationwide, 250%, and escalating at a very exponential rate in California. And we keep voting for these ding-a-lings. I mean, you can hear them next door, hollering about whatever they're doing at St. Christopher's on Good Friday. That 98.7% of them voted for this crap. Two Republicans voting for California governor. Why a tie is their best strategy. Now, pray tell, where the hell did you hear that a year ago? This is in Cal Matters. Two Republicans are fighting for a California governor. Why a tie is their best strategy by Jeannie Kwong. Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco need to split the vote nearly evenly to lock Democrats out of the race. Their strategy, attack each other relentlessly. Well, yes. He's pointing out the flaw. Steve and Chad knock off the criticism. 11th commandment of Ronald Reagan. Everybody now, everybody that told me I was crazy, never happened, didn't know what I was talking about, is saying, you know what, it actually is a possibility they can do it, these two brain surgeons need to, again, knock off the criticism of each other. Or they're both going to lose. They're not even going to have a chance. If they get in the top two, each one of them has a 50-50 shot. And as I've said, Katie, bar the door. If it's Steve and Chad, may the best man win. Further reading from the article, California Republicans have an unusual shot of claiming an upset victory in the governor's race this year, but to win, neither of the candidates can get too far ahead or of the other just yet. Now, who the hell? You know, I wish, if there was any honesty, they would be saying, you know, the sixth grade educated Dick Spank Okie from Edgemont a year ago said, there it is in Cal Matters. No big, vast right-wing conspiracy rag there. Speaking of that, of the ballot, the battle of the ballots, Chad versus Bonta, and all that. Well, they moved, Judge Keel is not in charge of it in Riverside County. I think McDonald's got it. They're scheduled now for a hearing on April 13th. The California Supreme Court's going to get their briefs and rebuttals in next week, so we're probably not going to have any court decisions on the Battle of the Ballots, at least until sometime next week. So the ballot count remains in limbo, stopped, but Sheriff Chad still has the ballots, and hopefully the count will begin, because I want to see. I want it resolved. Let's count the ballots again and see if there are 657,000 pieces of paper and there's X amount, 390,000, whatever, yes, 250 no, or whatever the number is. And if it's not that, why? If it is, then I'm good. It's as simple as that. All this wrangling is doing nobody any good. All this court filing and titter-tatter back and forth, people making up or extrapolating weird theories and all this other nonsense. CBS News reporter Julie Watts, investigative reporter, heads into why California gas prices are so much higher than the rest of the nation. Here we go.
Which you also paid for.
We couldn't prove there was gouging.
Were you able to confirm the price gouging accusations?
The way I would put it is we've identified certain dynamics that were creating those price spikes.
California's Natural Resources Secretary says they found reasons for the price spikes, but not intentional price gouging.
Rather than assigning motive to an oil company or a policymaker.
It was lawmakers who were assigning the motive. So what were those spikes? Was it regulations? Was it price gouging?
Here's what I would say is, as it relates to the price spikes, I wouldn't be in a position to point a finger at this person or that person.
But lawmakers did point the finger, and two major refineries shut down, taking hundreds of jobs and nearly 1/5 of California's refining capacity with them.
And so everyone's like, oh no,
Yeah,
what are we going to do, right?
Scrambling.
And now, before we examine what that means for the future of gas prices in California, let's break down why California's gas is already so much more expensive than other states. First, you have global price of crude, which we all pay, and the federal tax, which we all pay. Then there's distribution and refining, which is more expensive in California. But here's the part we can actually quantify. California's special gas blend tax on 10 to 15 cents per gallon. There's another 63 cents in state taxes and fees, plus 37 cents for California's climate programs, and of course, local and state sales tax. Now, at $6 per gallon, that adds up to nearly $20 more in California every time you fill up an average-sized tank.
Can't get that cup of coffee in the morning sometimes.
Okay, this is where Julie Watts and everybody fails. It's not a Pacific gas tax, but under AB 32, cap and tax, with the carbon credits and the, okay, oil refinery is putting so much pollution in. Well, you buy so much credits and you can offset that of because somebody else was saving this. You buy their credits and you're allowed to pollute more. So we've done it many times on this show, and I don't know why it will not sink into people. The refiners in El Segundo, Torrance, up in Martinez, up in the Bay Area, wherever. They're sending fuel through the pipelines mostly, sometimes truck, gas and diesel, Arizona, Nevada, Utah. They charge them 75 cents a gallon to refine it. California refiners charge $1.50. That extra 75 cents nobody talks about but me is what you're paying. It's a de facto tax. They don't call it that. They call it an AB 32, or they call it a carbon offset. We pay twice as much to refine the same frickin' gas that's going to Arizona. Well, other than the California blend, that's 10 cents a gallon. So it should be 85 cents a gallon. The California blend of that, not $1.50. That's where your extra 75 cents that everybody misses in this deal, that gets your tax on gasoline. Total taxes you're paying to some sort of government agency between $2.50 and $3 a gallon in California right now.
To better understand why and how that impacts you, we got rare access inside one of California's remaining refineries. So why are refineries leaving?
California is a tough place to do business for refiners.
Overlooking the San Francisco skyline, every day Chevron's Richmond refinery produces enough gas for 1 out of every 5 cars in Northern California, and about 60% of the jet fuel from San Jose to Sacramento, which costs more to make in California than anywhere else.
The labor costs here are higher. Natural gas and electricity is more expensive.
Which Chevron Richmond refinery manager Tully Graves points out gets passed on to you at the pump. And then there's California's special blend.
Only a handful of refineries outside of California can actually make California gasoline.
Cleaner fuel
Took billions of dollars of investment.
comes at a cost.
You know we're next to is called the sulfur recovery unit.
And don't forget California's environmental regulations, which Chevron's Brian Humbinger says require significant long-term investment.
We're one of the cleanest refineries in the world. We adhere to the most strict regulations.
They say those investments can take 30 years to recoup.
In the next 15 years, we will eliminate in the state of California the sales of internal combustion engines.
While the state pushes toward a clean energy future, California policies are pushing oil companies out,
California has exceeded its environmental goals.
making California more dependent on the rest of the world to keep cars moving in the meantime.
Earlier,
How much more of this lying do we have to have? How much more is Gavin Newsom going to be allowed to jack up the gas prices? Is this what you want in the other 49 states? Because that's what's coming to you guys. And again, I don't know why people cannot get the correct numbers on what's going on here. Just like they could not get the strategy. We're going to find out what here in a couple months, well, less than 2 months. June 2nd. Well, it'll take 30 days after that to certify the election. But voting will be over. in less than 2 months. Well, it's going to start in about 30 days. I don't know why people cannot see this stuff, or why why can't you deal with the facts? It's like the battle of the ballots. Okay, let's end this. Let's quit having 2-hour hearings down at the Board of Supervisors and countless back and forth and meetings and subcommittee meetings and back and forth and records and all this other stuff. Who knows how much that has all cost? Let's just recount the ballots. This is a simple one to put it away. Either Team Temecula's got this thing right, or Art Tanaco's dead on with his numbers, and that there's no extra ballot. You're not counting 27 different ones, yada, yada, yada. You got one ballot, one question. Prop 50, yes or no. Simple as it gets. Yeah, we got to be accusatory of this and make up false statements of that and won't answer the question here. Just like Gavin Newsom. Oh, I'm going to pay my former finance director 20, hey, here's 20 mil. Oh, go find $2 billion worth of fraud. In California, $2 billion worth of fraud. You can do that standing on your head. The legislative analyst office has said you got, and they're probably way conservative, says your $50 or $60 billion a year is going out in fraud. That's your government agency. State of California, nonpartisan. And you've ignored them. Why did we have to pay this other yo-ho 20 mil? Oh, I'm sure wifey Jenny Poo. Darn, look at these. I kicked these brown paper bags over sitting on the porch, and man, all this green stuff started falling out. This new $9 million mansion is great. It finances itself. What other explanation do you have? What other reasonable explanation? No, what even non-reasonable explanation do you have? Because that's what's going, again, everybody says family first. Well, they're robbing your family blind. And you're giving them the tools to do it. We all are. When do we stop the freaking madness? We have that opportunity every day we get up to say, not no, but hell no. We are going to try something else, even if it's wrong. Have a great weekend. Relax, kick your shoes off. Raise some hell, do something, because Monday's going to come around way too quickly. That'll do it for today and this week. As we usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here in 71 hours wide. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The preceding was a paid program.
All right, Roy, have a good weekend. Stay safe.
You got it.
I mean, God, who knows with this wind what the hell is going to happen with that fire. So,
actually, right here, the wind has not blown that bad, so I think they're just letting it now burn to just burn the weeds off.
Uh-huh.
The weed control thing now, because I haven't heard that it's gotten close to any houses yet, so.
Oh,
if
that's
they're
good.
just doing that, if you just get rid of the weeds out there, then
Yeah, well, it's
put a lot of
windy.
good- put
It's
a lot of good
wind.
carbon on there to fertilize the ground.
It's windy as all hell over here. So.
Really? No, it
Oh
hasn't blown
yeah.
a bit over here.
Huh. Interesting.
Maybe about 5 miles an hour. I mean, you can tell it's blowing, but nothing.
Oh, there's like 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts over here.
That's why they call you the pass.
Yeah, I guess. All right, take it easy, Roy.
See you Monday.
Bye.
Ah.